Hi there. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Follow Your Passion podcast. I'm your host, Erwin Wils. I'm a mindset and business strategist and founder of Millionaire Life Strategy. In this podcast, I'm interviewing my clients and other entrepreneurs that are following their passion and make a good living out of it. When you want to know more about me or what I can do for you, check out my website, millionaireLifestrategy.com. But first, check out this episode of Follow Your Passion. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the Follow Your Passion podcast. Let me introduce my wonderful guest of today. Her name is Nellie Akalp. Nellie and her husband Phil are business partners and have 4 children. They met at law school, and after graduation, they worked odd jobs, but knew they didn't want to go the traditional route of working at a law firm. So in 1997, they took $100 and started a fish business. Going after the passion to help other entrepreneurs to succeed, they launched an online legal document filing service where they completed paperwork to form LLCs and corporations. In 2009, they decided to get back into the industry and they launched corpnet.com, where they continue to help other entrepreneurs succeed by forming LLCs, registering trademarks, processing sales tax registrations, and much more. And they're still together, so I guess it's a very successful business, Nellie. How are you doing? Welcome.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. Hello.
Yeah. So you and Phil met at law school. Did you already know that someday you would start a business together, or did it grow in the years?
We actually met in undergrad. We both were attending Cal State University Northridge, and we were both in the business program over there at Cal State Northridge. So we actually met in undergrad in our last year of attending Cal State Northridge. And then we soon realized that we had similar goals of attending a graduate program and obtaining our law degree. And hence, we both decided to pursue a career in law together, even though we didn't get into the same law schools.
Okay, nice. So, as you shared at the beginning, you started out with $100 to start your own business. So, what did you use that $100 for?
We purchased a domain name at that time.
Ah, nice. And how was it for you? Did you have some entrepreneurial experience, maybe from back home, from the family, or was it all new to you?
For me, I think entrepreneurship has been something I've been born with. I've always, characterized myself as a survivor and, a hustler. And I think, seeing my family struggle through migrating from Iran to the US, that was, obviously an educational time for me to kind of take everything in. But I think, sometimes we're born with, entrepreneurship in our blood. And for me, I feel that's definitely the case. Yeah. With respect to the starting of our, first company, I think it was more about looking at our options and being faced with the decision that getting a degree and taking on a salaried job as a lawyer wasn't going to support the lifestyle that my husband and I envisioned for ourselves and our then growing family.
Yeah.
As such, we felt that starting our own business was truly the only viable option available to us. And hence, we decided to start our own business and pursuing our dreams at the time.
Nice. And you actually succeeded in building a very successful business and the family, because you have 4 children, right?
We do. So we started our first company out of our 2-bedroom apartment with, as you mentioned several times, $100. And we grew that company. And in 2005, when that company was doing a substantial amount of revenue, we were blessed with the opportunity of being acquired by a publicly traded company. Mm-hmm. So we decided to sell our first company and took some time off, focused on raising our children. And then 2009 came along and we decided we were too young, we were too passionate, and frankly, too bored to take on an early retirement. So we decided to get at it all over again with our current company, CorpNet.
Nice. And as you might know, there are a lot of presuppositions about entrepreneurs, that they work like 60, 80, 100 hours a week to build a business and the hustling and stuff like that. But you managed to also raise your children, right? Was it hard for you to separate between private life and business life, or did it come natural to you?
I think we all have to go through a process of making mistakes and learning from our mistakes. And I think we've all had our share of that. But for me, I happen to have always been a very, very organized person and super, super, fierce, whether it comes to leading my family life or my business life. So I had a pretty good handle on it. Now, whether it was done perfectly or not, that's, up for, the jury. However, I think I've done a pretty good job so far. And I'm blessed that I've raised 4 beautiful children, and, they're all very, very relational and still very engaged with us as their parents, and just good children. And they're each, very, very career minded and, after their own pursuit of happiness, I should say. So, I think I've done a pretty good job along the way. Now, as I mentioned, we can look at as mistakes as, a failure, or we can look at the mistake we've made along the way as an opportunity to rise from it and an opportunity for growth. And, I've made a lot of mistakes along the way, and I've viewed all of them as opportunities for growth for myself.
Nice. And I think that's the right mindset, because when you want to grow, it means that you start doing things for the first time, right? And it's a mission impossible to do every new thing right the first time. So you're bound to make mistakes. And it's okay to make mistakes as long as you learn from them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So do you recognize with your children that they also got some entrepreneurial aspirations?
Yes. In fact, I 100% believe that our children, as a result of seeing the interaction between my husband and I, are A-type personalities that are definitely pursuing a career in entrepreneurship. They're all, my older ones are in college right now, working towards getting their degrees in business and entrepreneurship. And they're probably either going to start their own businesses or come and take over mom and dad's, positions here at CorpNet.
Nice. So, I run my business together with my wife as well, although we have totally different working areas. And I think it's very inspirational for other people listening to the podcast, how it is to run a business with your partner, right? So how did you and Phil manage to separate your business life and private life? Because this is, let's say, this pitfall of talking about the business 24/7, right?
Well, I think it really boils down to having boundaries for yourself and also having boundaries with your partner, with your business partner. And for us, we just celebrated our 25th anniversary, and we've managed to run every one of our businesses together as business partners. And I think the recipe for success is, we put our egos aside. And when we're running a business, we are strictly making decisions based on what's in the best interest of the business and taking out the element of, am I going to hurt his feelings or is he going to hurt my feelings? And then once we, kind of shut off for the day, we put on our husband and wife hat and try to hold space for each other as marital partners. Oftentimes, it works because for us, the foundation of our relationship started as being study partners in college and then, being best friends. So I think that has a lot to do with it, is that we have a really good friendship, and above and beyond anything, we're friends, and we truly, count on each other for support. But there are times where, unfortunately, because of issues, in running a large company, that sometimes you can't help it but bring it into your home life when there's a pressing issue. And in those cases, we try to just step back, take a deep breath, reset, and make space for each other. It's hard. I won't, sugarcoat it at all. It takes work. Marriage is hard work. Whoever tells you marriage is easy, I'm still waiting to see that, but marriage is hard work. And it's like, keeping a flower alive or keeping a plant green. You have to feed it. You have to nurture it. You have to cultivate it. And for us, it means, taking space out for ourselves and for each other, giving each other the space that we each need to do our own thing. It means self-care. It means date night. It means not arguing as to who is right and who is wrong, but, expressing to each other the feelings behind the action and how the other party's action affected our feelings. It's also about maintaining healthy relationships and not a relationship based on codependency, or if somebody, if he hurts me or I hurt him, the answer is not to retaliate upon another or to stonewall each other. So I think marriage is about give and take, and really about understanding each other and really, creating this sense of trust and relationship that's based on love, based on respect, based on trust, and based on really understanding each other's feelings and how each other's actions are affecting one another.
Perfect. A wonderful put, Nelly. And I think you didn't mention it explicitly, but I think that the very important part of a successful relationship is also communicating with each other.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's creating the room, creating the space to express yourself, how you feel, how the other party makes you feel, and being able to communicate it and express that. And I think a lot of people underestimate the importance of communicating with each other.
Yeah, and for Phil and I, we actually, we put it into the 3F format, which is the facts, the feelings, and the friendly request at the end. So, for example, if he has done something to upset me, or if I've done something to upset him, we communicate to each other in a format that's based on, we call it the 3 F's, which is stating the facts, and then explaining how those facts affected us and how it made us feel, and then making a friendly request, which in a way is a boundary that you're setting up for yourself to protect yourself. So if and I'm still working on that, I don't always get it right, but I'm working towards all of my communications to be in that way,
Yeah. And that's great, because one of my coaches said, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So already by talking about you, I can already imagine how you and Phil are running the company, because it's the same, it feels like there's mutual respect to one another. It's a place of trust. There's communicating, it's mutual respect having to each other. And I can imagine that those core values that you're having for your private life are also applicable to your business and how you run the business and how you treat your customers, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I think communication and respect and all of this, in my opinion, doesn't just stop for me with Phil. It's a mindset that I use in my leadership and mentoring. I use with my executives that help me run our company. It's it's a mindset that I run with my employees. And it's really based on the premise of treat others how you want to be treated. It's simple as that. We can't expect to treat people in a certain way and then expect them to treat us differently. If you give respect, you're going to earn that respect back. If you provide somebody with love, you're going to get that love back. Now, if they don't return, that's on them. You've done your part. And oftentimes I'm asked the question of, well, you say all this, but what happens when you're doing your part and then others are not reciprocating? Well, the bottom line comes to the fact of, you need to do it without any strings attached or any expectations. You have to do it from the standpoint of, this is who you are and this is how you want to run your life. How they choose to react to you or how they choose to respond is on them. That's not your job.
Exactly. If you can look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day, knowing that you did everything to your best effort, then
exactly.
More than that you can't do, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Nice.
And I think this type of mindset truly, Erwin, takes you a long way in life, because for me, I've always based my life on the premise of do good in life, surround yourself with good people, always be giving, kind, and generous. Always be kind to everyone around you, because you never know what that person is going through. And I do this to the guy to the girl next door, to my friend, or to the homeless down the street. It doesn't matter, we're all humans and we're all perfectly imperfect humans, and we all make mistakes. It's how you rise from that mistake that really, really sets you apart from others.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. And that it has resulted in success, that's, you can see that by the company itself, because I've noticed that corpnet.com is in the Inc. 5000, and it has been there for several years, right? And I think this year it has the highest ranking of all of them.
Yes, it does. And we're soon going to probably be an Inc. 500 company with the tremendous growth and how quickly we're growing. And that's something that I'm really, really ecstatic about and proud of, because it takes a village to, run a company. And I can't take credit for that. I owe it to all of us, to my entire team.
Yeah.
And I feel that there's something to be said about that. And for us, for me personally, I've never made success my goal. What I've always made my goal is to be passionate about what I'm doing. And very funny because the name of this podcast is Passion Podcast,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because that's one of the reasons I accepted becoming a guest on this podcast is that I do everything with a lot of passion and intensity.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ask anyone about who Nellie is, they'll tell you she's this 4'11" woman who's just a ball of intensity, and I do everything with a lot of passion. I do everything with a lot of intensity because to me, why do it if you're not going to give it your 100%? Then don't do it at all. But if you're going to do it and give it your 180% and be passionate about it. So I feel that one of the reasons for our success is that we've never made success our goal. We have always made the goal to be making people's lives simpler and simplifying the process when it comes to entity formations, payroll tax registrations, and compliance. And when you provide solutions to problems that are existing out there, and the solutions are seamless and they are solutions that business owners, business professionals, and entrepreneurs can truly take, and they appreciate it because they see their businesses as a result 10xing and growing. They're seeing that their jobs are becoming simplified. That's the ultimate high for me. That's the ultimate high as far as I've done something good. I've done my job. I've done
Exactly.
my job.
I'm totally aligning with what you're saying. I started working, I graduated university in 96 and started working in the corporate world. And I've always been looking to the best way how I could add value, right? And when I started my entrepreneurial journey 7 years ago, everything came together. I love helping people in a coaching way. And it's my way of making a positive impact, right? And I also say to my clients as well, if you're in it for the money, you're not in it for the right reasons, right? Money should never be the goal. It's the result of the value you add to the environment, right?
Yes.
And that shows because it's the same with you. You want to simplify the lives of your clients, that the entrepreneurs can focus on their core business and they don't need to be afraid or fear that their intellectual property is being stolen, so you can trademark it or whatever. You take care of that side of the business so they can focus on their adding value activities. And if they succeed, you succeed as well because their success is your success. And it's the same with me. So I'm totally getting what you're saying, and it's wonderful to have a similar person in the podcast to talk about this.
Thank you so much.
And so, is there a certain client, and you don't need to name names, of course, of company name, but is a certain client that comes to mind if you're talking about a big success that you and Phil had, or a big transformation that your client experienced working with you?
I've had several clients in that, that's truly the reason for our success and where we are today. We've taken clients, for example, we've had a franchise that, if you go on our YouTube channel, Dina Kimmel, you'll see that, we helped her with all the legal documents to build up her franchise from a single franchise to now I believe they're at up to like 38 or 40 franchises. Our main core product that does really well right now as a result of the economic climate and the pandemic that just passed us was adding payroll tax registrations, state tax registrations, and really, really amping that product up on the heels of the pandemic, because most businesses either went belly up and shut down, or most businesses like our business went to 100% being a remote business. So as a result, at that point, we had attorneys, accountants, entrepreneurs, business professionals really scrambling around, figuring how are we going to shut down our business in one state and move to another state, or how are we going to expand our business into other states? How are we going to now pay our employees, a paycheck and run payroll when the employee is now located in state X instead of state Y? And again, we looked at that as an opportunity for us to really beef up our payroll state tax registration products, and go full force at it. The result being in that we didn't look at the end goal of it being the money we were going to be making from it. We looked at the opportunity and how we can add value to our then growing base of clients. And as a result, pre-pandemic, we were at 15 employees, and now post-pandemic, we're at 150 employees.
Oh, wow.
So, so there is a lot to be said about really looking at your clientele, looking at your general landscape when it comes to your clients, and listening to their needs. Because for us, it's always been about our clients. The clients are who are, paying our paychecks. And in order for us to do our job and continue to grow as a company, we need to continuously be nurturing and cultivating our products and services to meet our clients' needs.
Yeah, and that's wonderful, because I heard you say it, maybe not in those words, but when the pandemic hit, it wasn't your focus on how can we survive and sustain and make money, but your focus was how can we help our clients to make the best out of this, right? And how can we support them making this transition from, let's say, the physical work to the remote work as seamlessly as possible?
Yes, because, for me, I've come across a lot of people where they have looked at the pandemic as, this horrible thing that happened in our world. And by no means I'm trying to say that it wasn't horrible, but I also feel that most people looked at it in a very pessimistic view, where my hope and encouragement was for more people to try to see the silver linings underneath. And although it was a very, very, very difficult time in our life too, because, there were times where my husband and I were looking at each other going, okay, are we going to have to lay off people, to try to at least save our company? But, when we shifted our focus from a more pessimistic view than more of an optimistic view, we became more clear as to what we need to do to not only keep the business sustainable, but also to grow the business.
Yeah. And it's if I look at the lockdown myself and the whole pandemic, a lot of entrepreneurs were shivering, and they were waiting for the old times to return, right? Which would never happen. But you could also accept the situation as is, how painful as it would be for you. But things you can't influence, you don't have to spend energy on that. So
Sure.
better spend your energy on the things you can influence, which is your
Yeah.
own mindset, which is your company, to look for opportunities, to look how you can transition your business to an online business or to whatever is working in the lockdown. And that's looking for
Correct.
opportunities, and that's building actually a resilient business, in my opinion.
Correct.
Nice. And it's wonderful what you said, that the business has grown so much, and you've actually grown your employee list, right? Substantially. So how do you see where do you see corpnet.com in about 2-3 years from now? Any ideas or any aspirations still?
So, I see CorpNet continuing to take more market share as one of the leading online entity formation, state tax registration, and compliance services out there. I see CorpNet as continuing to add value when it comes to making the business filings and compliance process even more simplified for the business owner, business professional, entrepreneur. And who knows what God's plan is for us in the next couple of years.
Right. We never know, so we can just be curious about it, right?
Yes. All I
Right.
can do is live one day at a time and just do right,
Right.
by God, by higher power, whoever that is out there.
Exactly. Right. I'm not sure who said it, but I think it's a wonderful thing to remind yourself by that the past has already happened. We can't change it. The future hasn't begun yet. So the only thing we can focus on is the present.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yes.
So I was wondering, what age range are your children currently?
I have teenagers and I have adults.
Okay.
I don't really share about my kids too much with how crazy our world is these days, but I have older kids and I have a mix of some that are going into teenagehood and some that are in teenage years and going into adulthood.
That's a very interesting time frame. I've got two
Yes.
boys as well. They're two boys are actually they're adopted, and they're the reason why I started my entrepreneurial journey. And
That's very
they're currently teenagers as well, and it's very challenging. But I can also see their entrepreneurial aspirations as well. That sometimes I hear them talking about it and think, well, I didn't said those words when I was their age, right? I had a totally different focus.
sure.
But it's nice to support your children to chase their dreams, so to speak, right? Whether it
Absolutely.
being in having a corporate role or working your own company or working on their own dreams. But I think it's very important to support them and to give them the space and room, also to make mistakes, right? You don't have to have a paved path for them. They have to make their own mistakes to learn from it, because in my opinion, that's the fastest way of becoming experienced in things.
Yeah, I agree. For us, it's always been about preparing our kids for the road and not preparing the road for our kids.
Yeah.
And I feel that when you prepare your kids for the road, they are, able to, deal with the trials and tribulations of life in their own way. And sometimes you just have to sit back and let them make the mistakes to be able to have their own experience from it.
Exactly. And curl your toes sometimes to see how they're making the mistakes, but they have to learn it their own way.
Yes.
Nice. Nellie, I'm really enjoying our conversation, and I'm afraid if we're not watching the time, we can go on for hours.
Yes.
If you could share a little piece of wisdom or knowledge with the audience, whether it being of following your passion or about entrepreneurship, what would it be?
I would say take time every day, whether it's a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and just pick a space where you can sit quietly and just sit in the quiet, because when you're quiet and when you're not subjecting yourselves to all the electronics and devices that lately we're all surrounded by, you get to truly receive guidance from that inner voice that's within you that will put you on the correct path when it comes specifically as to what you want to do to kind of blaze your own trail when it comes to entrepreneurship. And I would urge every one of you to really look at everything in your life, no matter whether it's good or bad, as an opportunity, and see the opportunity within whatever has happened. Because as Winston Churchill put it, and I came across this quote this morning as I was meditating, is that a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, whereas an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. So I think that's a great place to end today.
Nice, Nellie. Very nice. It reminds me of a quote I shared with somebody else on LinkedIn that if you want to keep your mind healthy, you need to meditate for 1 hour each day.
Yes.
Unless you're very busy, then you need to meditate for 2 hours.
Yes.
And it's just what you said, if you take this let's call it me time, right? This quality time, and maybe it's only 5 or 10 minutes, but just sit and be still and let your mind just wander around, not focusing on anything. The most creative ideas can come to mind, and it's wonderful to listen to those.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So thank you so much for this opportunity, Erwin. I really appreciate you having me on here.
It was a real pleasure having you now. If people want to know more about you and Phil, or get in touch with you, or maybe even do business with corpnet.com, how can they do that? How can they get in touch with you and follow you?
Absolutely. So if you're looking to start a business, if you're looking to set up the documentation to take your business from a sole proprietorship or a partnership to a corporation or an LLC, or simply if you have an existing business and if you want to expand your business, our company, corpnet.com, is a legal document filing service where we specialize in setting up corporations and LLCs, expanding your corporation or LLC, setting up payroll for your business, expanding your business, and keeping your business in compliance. We offer our services in all 50 states. You can visit us online at www.corpnet.com. You can also send us an email to info@corpnet.com, or simply pick up the phone and dial 1-888-449-2638.
I love the 888 in your number. That's a very, very wonderful number. It's a sign of prosperity. So that's wonderful to have that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So again, Nellie, it was a real pleasure having you in the show. Really loved our conversation and the sharing. I think you shared a lot of very wise insights and tips that the audience will probably, if they notice them, they will definitely benefit from them. So thank you for that. I wish you and Phil all the best with your corpnet.com. But hearing all your stories, I don't need to worry about it. So I've got all the best intentions, and I think you're going to do pretty well, Nellie.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Best of luck to you. And just thank you again for having me on today.
I hope you liked this episode. Make sure to check out the other episodes, because each one is filled with interesting and inspiring stories and energy. Are you following your passion as well and make a good living out of it? Contact me and you could be my next guest. Would you like to follow your passion but are not there yet? Check out my website millionaireLifeStrategy.com and book an appointment to discover what I could do for you. Don't forget to share the podcast with your friends so that they get inspired as well.